Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today on this question and answer session around our HEQ qualifications. We're just going to give everybody a few minutes to join and then we'll start the session. Okay, let's get going. So I've just put a message in the chat function that hopefully everyone can see. It's saying that we're here to answer your questions today about the HEQ retirement. But before you put them in the Q&A function, we've got some information to hand over to you that might answer quite a few of the questions that we anticipate hearing today. But let's get started. So my name is Becky. I'm the product manager for HEQ. Welcome. You're all very welcome to join us. We're looking forward to being able to help you and answer your questions. Please use the Q&A function, which should be at the bottom of your screen on Zoom, to type your questions. We will answer as many as we can. Any that we can't answer, we're going to take away and get back to you. Or if you want to contact us, we'll work something out on that as well. Just a bit of housekeeping. The session's being recorded. We're planning on sharing it with you afterwards. We have a list of all the attendees so we can get in touch with you with that. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Zoe Spielberg, who's going to give you some information to hopefully answer most of your questions about the HEQ retirement. Zoe, please.
Thanks very much, Becky. It's Zoe Spielberg, Director of L&D Deployment at BCS. As Becky said, thank you very much for giving us your time today to cover off some of the questions you're going to have around the recent decision you've heard about the HEQ qualifications. So you may not be aware that HEQ is BCS's oldest education product, having originally been developed as the entrance criteria for BCS membership. The qualifications have evolved and developed in many ways over the years that it's been running. And at BCS, we continually review and evaluate our qualification portfolio and use insights that we have as the Chartered Institute for IT to horizon scan the needs of students, trainers, and employers into the future. We know we've got to be a digital first organisation, and working in conjunction with our partners, we want to ensure that we remain accessible to as many people as possible. But as you know, HEQ is a paper examination, and having considered all options, it's not possible to pick up HEQ as it currently exists and make it online. That's been one of the key drivers of our decision to retire it in its current form. So we've had to make some hard decisions about it, and in the interest of moving forward, and we're going to take this opportunity to develop our portfolio to make sure that everything that we have and we offer is dynamic and suits the evolving needs of the IT sector. So there's 3 years notice, which is a long time and more than we need to give, but it's what we wanted to give. And during that time, we're going to be maintaining HEQ and continually improving it over the next 3 years to make sure that everybody that goes through is getting an optimum qualification. We know there are some concerns around this, understandably, and I just want to head a few of them off now, but then we'll open up the floor to more specific questions. But I know a number of people are concerned about the validity of the qualification on CVs once it's retired. And I just want to reassure you that even though you won't be able to sit, or learners won't be able to sit an HEQ exam after 2026, the qualification will always be valid on CVs. Ofqual, the governing body who controls regulated examinations as HEQ in the UK, is very used to seeing qualifications retire as new ones are developed. This has to happen, otherwise there would be no room for new qualifications to be developed, as the landscape would just be too confusing and crowded. And in the sector we work in, we need to be continually developing new qualifications because the needs change and move so quickly. So in order to be at the front face of education and training in the sector, we need to develop new and as so retire the existing. So Awarding bodies retire qualifications for a number of reasons, and this happens on a monthly basis. With a qualification might be retired because of lack of demand or student registrations. It might no longer be meeting regulatory requirements. The subject matter might no longer be relevant or is out of date. There may be changes in the skills required by the sector, or indeed Ofqual and other regulatory bodies may withdraw recognition for any of those above reasons, or funding is removed. So it's a commonplace occurrence for qualifications to be withdrawn as new ones are developed. I know another concern could be around, is this the start then of other qualifications that BCS deliver? Are there going to be more news of other qualifications retiring? And again, I want to reassure on that there are no plans to retire other regulated qualifications at BCS. This is not the start of a run of withdrawals that you're going to be seeing. As I said at the start, the HEQ is our only paper-based qualification. All of our other products are already available as online assessments, so they're already adhering to that digital-first approach that we want to be moving towards in this space. So I hope that offers some reassurance there. And we've also had some questions around membership and what that means. And your HEQ student membership will remain live for the entire term that it's purchased for. It doesn't hang on the hook of when HEQ retires. So if you buy a 4-year HEQ student package in the months before you sit your last exam in 2026, that membership will still be valid for the duration. We really value all of our members, and we hope that you stay with us for the duration of your career, well beyond HEQ and or whatever qualification you may take with us in the future. So just to be clear, retirement of the HEQ does not affect membership status. So I hope those few just bullet points just help offer some reassurance around some of the key questions we think you probably have. I'm going to hand back to Becky now, who's going to pass on to other members of the team. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Zoe, for that very detailed brief on why we've come to the decision that we've come to. So just at this point, I'll inject with a couple of other statements. We are looking to develop new qualifications that will fill the space of HEQ, but we have no information to share at this time. So there will be same level qualifications made, but I can't give you any facts because we're still at the scoping phase of this to develop it. With that being said, our training provider partners that are online at the moment, you will be welcomed into the consultation process. So we'll be happy to meet with you about next steps and what you think the market needs, new information for that. And I will be in touch about next steps with you via your contacts at BCS. Also, some people have asked about a replacement now. Well, there is not a replacement right this second because we've got 3 years to go for HEQ. It's not going anywhere just yet. But the digital modular program that you may have seen on our website is a level 4 qualification, but it is not a replacement for HEQ because it's a technical qualification, not a vocational one. The HEQ is. But again, if you have any questions on that, please do look on the website or ask your BCS contacts. So without further ado, Ian, I'm going to hand over to you now. Ian Borthwick from our publishing team is going to give you a little bit of information about things that are here to support you from his team.
Thank you very much, Becky, and thank you, Zoe. So yes, we're here in the publishing team to help support everybody who's taking the HEQ qualification. And what we've been doing to that end, we've had the 3rd edition of the Professional Issues in IT book, which was recently published. And if you don't know what that's for the mandatory module on the diploma that everybody who's taking the diploma needs to sit. Now that's been a long-standing book, and I've seen Iqbal's had his own copy for some time. And what we're going to do is reach out to all of the training providers, and we're looking to offer a 50% discount for the ebook of that through training providers so that everybody can get access to that book and help to continue in their studies. For any HEQ students who are also interested in that and not necessarily going through a training provider, there will be an opportunity as well to access that book. Obviously, we have just invested and delivered on certificate level 4 module study guides, which are all online and interactive, and those will be maintained as well. As long as they need to be maintained for, as long as people are still sitting and taking them, that would be great. And well, we're going to be having them, and basically we'll also be looking at the same things. How do we utilize that kind of really valuable knowledge none of that knowledge is going away. The practical applications of it will not be going away. We're going to be looking at those areas, how we extend it, how we can use that in the future to continue our support for you in your journey through your IT careers as BCS members. And that's where we have multiple other opportunities to offer new and additional titles to people in those areas, from business analysis and software testing to information security and other areas as you continue in your career. So there's lots of opportunity, and we're very much here to support you throughout the pathways that you take in your careers and through your qualification journeys. Any further queries, please contact, as I said, one of your account managers, and we'll be able to follow up with more details as appropriate.
Thank you, Ian. And you mentioned the BCS membership there, so that leads us nicely into passing you on to my colleague Darren, who is a product manager in our membership team, and he's just going to share just a few insights with you about the membership that you have.
Thank you, Becky. My speech will be just very short and sweet, because from a membership perspective, not much will change. Whilst HEQ is in its life journey, everybody will still be able to continue in the same way that we have. If we look to the future, and a HEQ student in the future, after HEQ is no more, wants to become a member, they can still come and upgrade of MBCS, so there is no change there. As the team work through the options available for the future and what qualifications are best to support the industry that we all work in, again, we'll be looking to make sure that membership is matched to whatever the future looks like. So from my point of view, nothing will really change. We are just looking at how we improve our current offering and how we continue taking forward what we already do to support our members. Thank you.
Thank you, Darren. That's great. So now we're going to start looking through some of your questions. I've seen a current theme is about applying to the top-up degree afterwards. Zoe, as you mentioned, the qualification is still as relevant and will be recognised. So we have a university to partner with on our website, won't we? So that won't affect any applications to top-up degree after that, will it?
No, so all of the relationships we have with the universities offering top-up routes will remain valid and open. And again, beyond the life of HEQ, because if you have taken HEQ and then apply later on to a university because you've had a bit of a gap, the HEQ will still remain valid. So that's all to be able to take advantage of in the coming years. No change there.
Thank you. We also have a question about someone who's just started the HEQ journey with us. Well, that's fine. You've got enough time to complete all of them, and then you can still carry on for your MyBCS and top up after you finish in 2026. But I think this attendee, so there's no name, may have joined a little bit late, because it talks about HEQ level recognition in the job market. Well, Zoe covered at the beginning, and we have recorded this, so we're going to share it. But we have covered that the recognition is still the same. The qualification is still valid after it's finishing in 2026.
Yeah, just on that, Becky, if that attendee missed it at the beginning, it's worth going back and watching that bit. I don't want to repeat it for everybody else, but it's a very common occurrence for Ofqual regulated qualifications to be retired as new ones come along, particularly in a sector as fast moving as IT. So it's nothing to be concerned about. It's in order to keep our portfolio dynamic and at the front of what it needs to be delivering. We have to retire qualifications, otherwise the landscape will be too confused and busy.
Okay, thank you. And also questions about why we're retiring HEQ are coming through. And again, if you did join us a little bit late, if you can watch the recording, all the information that you need is in the first part of this webinar. Just going to have a look. So talking about changes to the syllabus or the structure of the papers or past papers, everything is saying exactly as it is. The exam sessions are still going to be the same. The paper structure will still be the same. We will obviously maintain our syllabuses or syllabi to make sure they're up to date. So that will still happen, but everything is staying as is. And the last exam session dates will be published. So for example, on the website. So for example, IT and the environment is only sat in October. So the final sitting for that will be October 25. And that will be no more resits or anything after then, but we will put these dates on the website nearer the time for you. For now, just keep doing what you're doing and everything's fine. Just having a look at the other questions. There's lots of links to HEQ and MBCS. The membership is completely separate to HEQ. While you have to be a BCS member to sit the HEQ qualifications, membership is its own entity over here. So Darren, can you just help back me up, please, by saying that MBCS isn't going anywhere?
Think about it in the same way that, you know, in your own individual career paths, a qualification that you've picked up along your journey doesn't disappear because you're no longer at that school, or that school doesn't exist. Those qualifications of a HEQ still meet the criteria for MBCS. So from that perspective, if we fast forward to the future and we're all here in 20 years' time and somebody has a HEQ from 20 years ago, all being well, that HEQ will still equate to MBCS as a membership grade. So again, from my perspective, there is no change. It will just be from looking to the future as the new qualifications, and whatever they'll be and whatever we decide to do, it'll be making sure that membership again is married to or related to whatever qualifications come down the line. So I do not see any change as we move forward about membership being aligned to the qualifications that we offer.
Thank you, Darren, for covering that.
Becky, sorry, as we were just having a quick look at the questions, I did see one about why can we not just make HEQ online? So
Yep.
probably just touch on, because we have looked at that, but given the regulatory requirements around HEQ, and it needs to be delivered at the same time around the world, so it needs to be sat at exactly the same time by everybody or wherever it's taken. If we were to just turn that into an online assessment, many of the territories we're in, many of our providers and our partners that we want to support with this would not be able to deliver the qualification to that many students with the infrastructure, the bandwidth, the hardware, to be able to sit exams online at that same time. So we would need to change how HEQ is run and how the exams are delivered, so that it's not just delivered at one time across the world. And so therefore, that no longer is HEQ. So that's why it's not possible to just pick it up and turn it into a digital exam.
Thank you for picking that up, Zoe. We've got a question about visa assessment bodies and universities' view of qualifications and how they'll view HEQ in the future, particularly for the next 10 years or so. We can't speak on behalf of anybody else, but we do know, as Zoe mentioned, that as a regulated qualification, it still has value. So unfortunately, we can't answer on behalf of those universities and visa companies unless anybody else thinks we can say some more clarification on this.
No, a couple of things, just because I'm reading some of the questions.
Sure.
I think the first thing to say, or another thing to say about HEQ, is that it's an incredibly robust exam. It is not easy. And I think anybody who passes a certificate moves on through to diploma. From my experience speaking to candidates who have gone on to do a top-up degree or even a PhD, when they enter the classroom at their university, they feel completely and utterly in a comfortable space. They feel that they've got more than they need to enter into that top-up degree. So we know, and that's important to BCS, that happens. There's no point in us offering a top-up degree route if our students enter that program and can't do the degree program. So everything we do around BCS is to ensure its robustness as an exam, and we don't, the pass rates are as high as they can be, but it's not easy to pass. So be assured that anybody who does get through HEQ is going to have a firm foundation to enter a top-up degree. That's one thing I'd like to add, and I know that for certain because you can look at the case studies of candidates who have gone through the degree, and I know, and I've spoken to some personally. If you're applying for a degree, a top-up degree on the basis of HEQ, there are reasons why some of those universities may not offer you a place. And it might be that the syllabus behind HEQ does not match their third-year top-up degree program. There may be other reasons about your own personal circumstances, about other things, but I think all of us here at BCS, and I've done this before, have written to universities to support them in their application where we felt that it's applicable to do so. So that will still be available to you as far as I'm concerned on a personal level. And I don't mind anybody writing to me directly to ask for me to do that. So that's another point. On the LinkedIn page site, which I saw a question coming up, this is an ongoing issue that's come up a number of times from members within our discourse community. It's being resolved. There are a number of technical issues with it, why it was suspended, but we're just resolving those issues, and the LinkedIn page for BCS will be back online as soon as possible, if it's not already back online. I'm not too sure. It's an ongoing, or it has been an ongoing problem for a number of weeks, but be assured we're not going and we're not pulling out our social media resources. It's just a technical issue at the moment.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. And absolutely, there's a really good point worth making, that the application for the top-up degrees is still dependent on the university's own other entry requirements. So that's the case now, and will be the case in the next 3 years, and will be the case afterwards. But the HEQ element of that will still have retain its place. And just thinking about the long-term recognition of the qualification, if we think about the IGCSEs that are delivered internationally, and before that we had the international O-level, and somebody who presents today with an international O-level, it still, you know, has its place on the CV, and people still understand what that means, because that was the qualification that was in place at that time. Just because it doesn't exist anymore doesn't mean that that person hasn't got the skills and the knowledge that were taught during their time of taking that exam. So it's a similar approach with this.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else from anybody at the moment? No. Okay. There's a question about an age limit for BCS, that you need to be 16 and over to take the HEQ qualifications, and also to apply for membership, I believe. So, well, actually, there might not be an age limit for membership, Darren, is there?
No.
No. Okay, so you can apply to be a BCS member, but to sit the HEQ exams, you have to be 16 or over. That's stated on our website, so hopefully that answers that question. There was also a question from one of our centres about new qualifications being developed and a transition stage, and implementing these sooner. As we mentioned at the beginning, absolutely, we'll be looking at all options for this, for the development, and we will be in touch with our training providers to gather feedback on what they think the market needs and how we can work together to make something relevant for the market and deliverable and regulated for you. We've also talked, there's a question about BCS planning to ensure that our certifications and qualifications remain relevant and valuable for the future job market. That's absolutely one of our passions. We here at BCS, Chartered Institute for IT, we are here to support professionals in the IT workplace, in the IT environment. We're making IT good for society and digital first. We know it's an evolving field working in IT. And so part of our priority is to always regularly assess the certifications and qualifications that we offer, which then leads us to making decisions to retire things that might not be what the future needs. So that's can be reassure you on that.
I saw one about the credits value of HEQ, and universities not recognising it because it doesn't have the full credit value. Exactly, that is one of the reasons that has added to our decision to retire it. So it's that sort of those sorts of issues that our learners sometimes come across with HEQ not having the full credit size of a full degree, that we can now take the opportunity to address. And one of our centres has asked about why not just create some more hands, so it's a bit further down, but I assume remember some more hands-on modules and some more digital assets to HEQ. That's what we would like to do, but in order to do that, it's no longer HEQ. So when you've got a product that's regulated, it's a very tight regulatory space we work in as an awarding body. We can't make changes to a qualification and still call it the qualification. So to make those sorts of changes, that and some good ideas coming up in the chat, and we will be working with our training providers to help us understand how to shape future products. But if we make any changes, it is no longer HEQ. That is why we need to retire it and create something new.
Okay, thank you. We've got a question about, can we do a degree and a master's from a local university after finishing top-up degree? Is this qualification good enough to enrol? As Zoe mentioned before, you need to speak to the university on that. We can't speak on their behalf, sadly. Each university, they set their own admission rules. So you need to speak to them to get clarification. I apologise, we can't answer that question at the moment. And I'm just having a look through for anything that we might not have answered. still think that, yeah, if you, like I say again, if you joined late, but you can watch the recording from the beginning, lots of information was passed over about any fears that we can alleviate. And again, about the credit hours, we can't, the HEQ is what it is at the moment, but going forward, we will be looking at that for our future development of qualifications. Can anybody see any other questions on here that we might have missed answering? Colleagues on the panel?
There seems to be a question, Becky, around the timing of exams, particularly if you're trying to do diploma and the PGD at the same time.
Okay, thank you. Yes, about the timetables. This question comes up quite frequently. We're asked because we have to have some exams sat at the same time. The exam timetable is published in advance, so you can see what is sat when, and we have got several sittings available before the 3 years is up. So unfortunately, while we can't make the timetable perfect to have one exam on one day, that's unfortunately not how HEQ works. So hopefully, if you can work with your BCS contacts or your centre to plan the modules that you take over the time that's left, hopefully they can help you put together a plan to sit everything that you need and pass it in time.
I would like to add in it that the matching of the modules, which are in April, is not the same matching in September, October.
October, yeah.
Always the option to take a module and in April, another one in October.
Thank you. That's a really good point. Thank you very much. I'd also like to assure you, as Darren said, the membership isn't going anywhere. So you can log into My BCS and access your transcripts on there. They're still for you to use. They will be there as long as you need them. BCS isn't going anywhere. So after the last exam and the results being issued for HEQ in 2026, we will be here to answer any questions that you have and to support you. Duplicate certificates will still be available. Transcripts will still be available, will still be available. So we'll help you as much as we can, along with supporting you in your membership journey with us.
I can see Tavanka's written about emergency support, and BCS aren't going anywhere. And HEQ will still be a relevant exam for some time after it's retired. There's no doubt about that. And you've just got to reach out. I'm uncertain, but we can talk internally about whether or not we have a website which remains kind of operational for people to raise questions and concerns about HEQ after its retirement. I don't know
customer
if I
service
presume
will
we
always
would.
be.
Yeah.
There's always a link through to the team there.
So there'll always be somebody here who understands HEQ and will be able to respond, I would say.
I agree.
Just a question about the credit hours. I'm just looking at the moment, whether credit hours are an issue for some university recognition and would experience an IT count when applying for a master's. All of that stands as it stands at the moment. Every university has got its own entrance criteria. For some, the experiential learning in the workplace will factor, for others it won't. So you still need to engage directly with the institution you wanted to go on and study at around their own specific entrance criteria. That's not for BCS to determine, I'm afraid.
Okay, thank you, Zoe. Someone's also asked if the website will still talk about HEQ website. Now, part of the regulation is if we're not offering a qualification, we can't advertise it on our website. So web pages for HEQ will come down, but for a certain amount of time, for a small amount of time, you can still request syllabi and stuff from us as well. But I'd highly recommend that before the last exam session or before the last certificates issued in September 2026, you download everything you need from the website, because that'll be the easiest way of getting it. Okay, you've got a question about paying for a balance of an exam for the upcoming sessions. I think that one, you have to contact customer service and they can answer any questions about paying for any balances for exams for you and withdrawals and things like that. We have no intention of increasing the exam sittings with more papers or less papers for April and October. So still keep an eye on the timetable. It is as it is. Things that are sat in April will still be sat in April for the next 3 years. Things in October, still in October for the next 3 years. We're not looking to put any additional papers in place for that.
Somebody's asked Becky Anonymous if a new student was going to start HEQ and plans to finish it before 2026. Do you think it's still a good idea? Absolutely, it's a good idea, because everything that Steve talked about, the robustness of the qualification, the recognition, the rigor, the flexibility it gives you, how you can study part-time, full-time, fitted around your work life and everything it does, it will continue to do for the next 3 years as brilliantly as it ever has done. So yes, absolutely. Now's the time, and take advantage of the ebooks that just launched in January to really help you through that certificate level. So yes, get registering is my advice.
Thank
And
you.
there's another comment, Becky, if I can add in, it was about the status of HEQ and how that will potentially have an impact on entry requirements for different kinds of visa. I mean, just like for the past 20 or 30 years, HEQ qualifications have had a particular status. For the next 3 years, they will have the same status for anybody who qualifies. And they'll continue to have that status, just like I may have a degree and that will have status for the rest of my life, just as anybody gaining this qualification from BCS will continue to have that status from that qualification. So there is 3 years to get as far qualified as possible. And there's another question about making sure we replace it with something cool.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which I think is definitely what Becky's after here. So.
Absolutely. I'm all about the coolness. Absolutely. So yes, so whatever, and we will work with our partners. Like I say, I'm going to keep on saying it. We want you to be involved in what comes next. We don't know what it'll look like yet, and so we can't tell you, but you'll be involved in helping us make that happen. So don't worry.
Somebody's put, Becky, about a good idea for us to download the papers for future use. Of course, we will always have the history of HEQ, and we will always support where there are requests for recognition of approved prior learning. We still will be able to support on what the HEQ qualification means. If in the future somebody comes to us and needs clarification about, we will have all of that.
Yes, we will. And a question about syllabus changes in the 3 years, over the next 3 years. We will update them, we will keep them relevant, but no major changes will be made. We can only make minor adjustments to regulated qualifications, but we will absolutely still make them current. Deepa, is that you, a lovely bird singing in the background?
Yeah, I think there's a question about like if they want to start in 2025, will there be access? There's no restriction. Even in 2026 April, you can start with certificate program. It's up to you, I guess.
It is. Obviously, there'll be no chance to resit, so it will be the last exam session in that. But nobody will stop you
until the last one. Yeah.
No one will stop you if you want to do it.
And there are so many individual level questions, Becky. I think please write to us to UK customer services or Sri Lanka or any regional office. I think we are there to support you and to help you.
Thank you, Deepa. Yes, we absolutely are. And after today's session, sometime in the next few days, we'll be publishing a frequently asked question document on our website that will have answers to most of the questions that have been asked today. But also, yes, we are here to help you. Please do contact your BCS contact, speak to your centre. They can contact us on your behalf or reach out to our customer service. I know they have a chat function as well as a phone, so you don't have to make necessarily an international phone call. There should be a chat function that can help you, or emails too. Okay. Does anybody think I missed anything else?
Any questions that we don't answer now, I guess we will be responding to in more detail. So keep an eye out for that. I'm so one thing that does please me is that so many people are so positive about HEQ in the questions, and so that's, you know, I'm confident, and I hope, and I'm going to push definitely for a replacement, find something that sits in this space that's equally as popular and takes on that kind of mantle, whether they kind of can fit together. So if you're part way through BCS, I saw a question where somebody's asked if they're part of the way through the BCS HEQ, would it kind of lead into a new qualification we develop? And I don't think we have an answer to that yet. But whatever you learn through HEQ is going to be helpful for you for the rest of your life, and whatever path you take, I should think. So that's probably as far as we can go on that answer.
Yeah. And like you say, Steve, it won't only be cool, it'll be better what comes out next. So just watch this space, trust us. We are the Chartered Institute for IT. We are here to help you. So just trust us and just give us a bit of time, and we'll come up with something working with you and all our other partners in the businesses too.
I'd like to add one thing which Becky has just said. This is not the first time that we're changing the structure of the examination. It has been done in the past, and we have always produced something much better, something more relevant as per the new needs of the IT industry. And we assure you that whatever will come, something more relevant will come.
Thank you, Iqbal. We've had a question about addressing challenges posed by emerging technologies. We already have some qualifications available in AI and blockchain. That's our professional certifications. Also, as your members, we have some CPD modules that you can complete online, covering these topics too. So please do look out for those. We are already on it. We're already working on addressing these challenges, and we will continue to do so for the future. But I think we are almost, I think we can, once the webinar's finished, we can still reply to some of the questions on here, I think. But keep an eye on the website for the frequently asked questions document. Please do reach out to speak to us. Our customer service team is here to help you. Your BCS contact's here to help you. We're here to help you. So please do get in touch. And also there's the community on BCS itself, the My BCS, the community chat there. I know a lot of people use it. And hopefully that will be there to support everyone as well going forward. But I feel we might have done our what we can do today. Do we all agree, panelists?
I think so. Just trying to scan down the last questions. I think a lot of the comments are, hoping that we develop something that's going to fit the purpose as well as HEQ has done, and of course we will. And as Steve said, it's really nice to see the support we've had for the qualification. I'm just thinking, can you give some clarity on masters after year 2026? Is an anonymous question. I'm not 100% sure what you mean on that. Is it applications to a university to sit a masters afterwards? As said before, you need to engage with the institution directly, the one you want to go to. HEQ will remain as valid a qualification after 2026 as it is now. So long as the university you're wanting to attend is able to support your application, it should make no difference to you. Certainly go ahead with that.
Okay, thank you. Just so you know as well, after the webinar's finished, we can get the questions that have been asked today, and we'll make sure they're covered on our frequently asked questions as much as we can do. Again, we don't have any information about if the HEQ will be valid towards the replacement. We can't answer that right yet, but we will look into that, and that will absolutely be a consideration. Just as we have recognised prior learning for HEQ, that qualification will have it as well. So don't worry.
Sean has asked if it's about to start their BCS journey, but they may not finish it before 2026. There's huge value, Shana, in doing the certificate in and of itself, even if you're not able to progress through to the diploma and PGD by the end of 2026. So absolutely, I would recommend you still proceed with the certificate and see how you get on. That is in and of itself a qualification worth having. So yes.
Thank you. So HEQ holders can still apply for MBCS after 2026. Whatever stands now will continue to stand. I think
we can take the rest off, Becky, and put them together into a Q&A document that I think we'll be able to collate answers to.
Thank you. And also just to say, please, if you did join us late or you'd like to watch again, we will be sharing this recording with you. So watch it from the beginning again. Zoe gives lots of information about why the decision was taken to retire HEQ, how it's still valid, and it will remain valid. It's not going in the qualification itself, you can't take it, but once you've got it, your achievement stays with you. So please don't worry, that will be fine.
Can I just one thing? If you are thinking of doing HEQ, and I hope you do, please join us on the discourse chat within your membership, because I'm trying to build the biggest community within there of HEQ students. And it seems to be the same bunch of us arguing between ourselves. So please join and dilute the conversation that's already there. It'd be great to hear from people.
Great, thank you, Steve. So we're going to end it now. Thank you everybody for coming today. Thank you very much to the panelists for answering questions and supporting us on this. All attendees, thank you very much for coming. We really hope we've helped. Please give feedback on discourse, contact customer service, speak to your BCS contact. We are not going anywhere. HEQ will be leaving us in 2026 to start as a qualification, but on your CV it stays valid. That's the most important thing to take away. Your hard work will not be forgotten. So thank you very much for coming, and we will look forward to seeing you all again at another HEQ BCS event. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.